So your thumbnail should get people to stop and it should get them to ask a question. And then they should go to your title and it should get them to stop and it should get them to ask a question. And then your hook should pique their interest and get them to ask a question, which leads to the next 15 seconds of your video and so on and so forth. And so if you integrate what we call micro hooks into your content all throughout your videos, you will not only hold attention, but you'll convert at a higher amount too, because even your calls to actions will be curiosity evoking. They won't just be like, hey, check out the link to my website in the description. It'll be like, hey, I've been doing something in my videos for the last 6 months that has increased my retention by about 60% per video. I call it micro hooks. And I prepared a sheet down in the description below that has 50 of the things that I say in my content that drives more engagement and drives longer watch times. If you want that, it's totally free down in the description below. So the idea is like you're maximizing these moments to build curiosity and then alleviate just a little bit of that by getting them to go where you want them to go.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Retention Effect, where we give you the strategies and tactics to help you to get customers at scale, to keep customers for life, and to eventually hit the exit of a lifetime. My name is Jordan Metter, co-founder at Ravato. And if any of this content is helpful for you, I'd only have one call to action. I'd ask that you would share this with one entrepreneur or founder who you think would get value from this and helps us to get this message out to the world. I've got a very exciting guest on our interview today. This is Scott Simson, who we just within the last year or so have been able to connect. And what I've seen him do online, at least especially from afar, has been pretty astounding. He's the founder of Raffiti Media, which has worked with some major brands. In fact, we were just talking off camera that I can't even share the names of the brands because he's under NDA. So we're going to keep that lock and key. But with that, he's been able to work with probably most of the names that you would know, but he can say publicly they just work with Amazon to Mattel and lots of big Fortune 500 companies in between, all exclusively talking about how to start and to scale your YouTube channel and how to overall monetize that. So we're going to be breaking down all of Scott's strategies, and we're going to just rip the gold right out of his pockets and give it to you guys on a silver platter. So thank you, Scott, for jumping into Retention Effect today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I love doing podcasts and this is a real treat. So I'm excited to share everything that I've learned. I don't hold anything back.
Well, this is a very selfish episode for me because we've started at this point in time. We started Retention Effect about 25 days ago, and this whole YouTube experiment and content syndication path has been, it really is a giant experiment to try to figure out what works and what doesn't. And you've not only coached and consulted with lots of big brands, but you've done exceptionally well in your own social media channels. So I'm excited to dive into this content very selfishly for myself so that we can glean some insights as far as what's working now. It seems like, really like the market has shifted from old school YouTube to like new school YouTube. And it seems like some of the strategies that used to work 5 years ago just doesn't, especially with the advent and the rise of AI tools, that there's a lot of AI slop, a lot of AI content out there that's just not good. And so new policies around that. And it seems like really it's returning back to maybe what it always was, which is your content has to stand out and be incredible. But obviously competition is fierce, saturation is high. And so when everyone is competing for eyeballs, it can be a little tough to stand out. So if you could give us just like a high level about a little bit of your background. Feel free to brag about some of your accolades here so everyone it ensures that they do not click away from this video, because I'm very confident it's going to be gold. But maybe brag about yourself for a second and some of the accomplishments that you've been able to achieve on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. Pre-YouTube, my wife and I had written a couple books in 2010, 2011, and I used to travel around and speak about those books. They're personal development in nature. And then in 2014, my wife got pregnant with our son, and she's like, I need you home. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I've got all this knowledge that I still want to get out there. What's the best way to do that? So YouTube became the thing, and we started our YouTube channel in 2014, or really started, like we dabbled before, but really started pushing content on the channel in 2014. And slowly but surely, we started to see an uptick in subscribers and views. And then we started getting some of our pieces of content started getting hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, and I'm like, "Well, this is better than any room that I have ever been in." I've never spoken in front of a crowd of 32 million people, which is our highest viewed video, and that's when it, like, clicked for me, like, this is the key to getting in front of everyone. Getting in front of, I mean, that's a tenth of the United States. 32 million people is a tenth of the United States I got to talk to, which is really cool. And then we were full-time YouTubers from 2017 to 2019, and then YouTube kind of flipped the switch on the algorithm like they do. They do this all the time, but this was a pretty significant switch, which led to an 80% decrease in value or a decrease in revenue from ads. And it got me thinking, like, how can I do this again, but how can I, build differently this time so that way I never have to rely on the algorithm to pay my bills ever again? And then we started doing that, and then business owners started asking me what we were doing. That's the birth of Raffiti Media came from that in 2019, and here we are 6 years later, and companies, doing great, and we're integrating AI, and the whole market is so different than it was even 6 years ago when we started the agency just with, AI, ChatGPT, AI video. There's just so many tools that make it better and make it worse in some cases, but I'm here for it, and I love what I do. I love the creative aspect of it. It's been a blast.
No, I think I'm gonna call out the elephant in the room here. Um, at least from my perspective, it seems like there's 2 sectors of YouTube. There's 2 different types of people who want to be on YouTube. There's lifestyle kind of people who are just like sharing their life and like they're going to depend on ad roll or like they're hoping to get monetized, they're hoping to get some ads on there. Maybe they're kind of going like the Mr. Beast route, which is just like get as many views as possible. Your monetization happens like in the video itself. This other sector is business owners who have a business slant and they want to get clients and customers from their YouTube content or really their social content. But these 2 things are at odds. Most creators have no monetization strategy outside of ads for the most part. They don't have their own offers. Maybe they have some affiliate traffic or something like that, but they're struggling with the
Merch.
monetization side. The Yeah, merch, right? Chocolate bars. But on the business side, we all have the offers. We have the monetization down pat, but we can't get eyeballs on our stuff because it comes off as stale, it comes off as sterile. And so even internally, as we've started this experiment here, we've been trying to balance between really appealing content for our ICP, but also not making it stale and feeling branded and company oriented. So before we dive into strategies and whatnot, if we're talking to a business owner, an entrepreneur founder who's trying to grow their brand, what is the perspective or the viewpoint we need to be having about YouTube where we don't want to song and dance, we don't want to become TikTokers and take half our clothes off. We don't want to be like skeezy. We want to like have this appealing level of sophistication and talk about our stuff and also get clients and customers. But it seems like you kind of have to cross the line on the other direction sometimes to just get eyeballs on your stuff. So how do you think about this? How should I be thinking about this as we're creating content for more of the business angle?
That's a great question. And I'm going to split business owner content creators into 2 categories as well. You have the business owners who only want to educate, and then you have the business owners who will be a hybrid of educate and entertain. And the educate, entertain, the edutainment sector of business owners are the ones who do the absolute best. And this is like Cody Sanchez, Hormozy does a lot of like the entertaining side, or he did. He kind of switched his strategy. Graham Stephan, he talks a lot about he gets into like the edutainment side of things. And those people understand the power of brand building by creating a theme around their content and a visual personal brand that stands out. I mean, you could draw a silhouette of Hermosi and everybody would know it's Hermosi, especially if you added the nose strip. Right, you could. Cody Sanchez, same thing. She's got her own personal brand, and it's a lot of it is like in the way that she speaks, and her cadence, and her directness about things. Graham Stephan, same thing. The people who are most memorable are the ones who are going to build the biggest business brand on YouTube. From the alternate perspective, and from the other side, the educational side of things, it's based on who can give the most amount of value to the largest total addressable market. And if you have a don't get me wrong, you can have 1,000 subscribers and make millions of dollars off your 1,000 subscribers being hyper niche. But if you want to capitalize on the full benefit package of what YouTube can provide for you, having having content that reaches a wider total addressable market is crucial to that effort. You can't have super niche, underwater basket weaving content that is going to reach a mass market and blow you up to millions of subscribers. That one actually probably would, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you can't be the guy who works on carburetors in 1998 Miatas and expect you're gonna get a million followers on that channel.
Hey, are you offering subscriptions or high ticket payment plans in your business? Well, I know for a fact the number one problem that you're going to be facing is churn or retention overall. You and no one on your team wants to be dealing with this. It's difficult, it's time consuming, and to build these systems for high retention is extremely hard. That's why we exist here at Ravato. We're a fully done for you service where we install into your existing systems. You have no changes to your product, your price points, your internal teams. There's no new hires. And we literally go out and recover failed payments, renegotiate payment plans with your customers, and even deflect hard cancellary requests. We're entirely performance based. So we don't even have anything to sell you. You literally don't pay us a penny until after we've won back some of your at risk customers. Want to invite you to a demo with us? Get information on the link down below. So we have to kind of blend these lines. So I'm going to use myself as kind of a guinea pig here. Obviously, for us here at Ravato, we do failed payment recovery and churn reduction for subscription brands. So we're kind of a sub niche of a sub niche, where not it's not for everyone. There's a very specific TAM. There's a specific audience of people who are running subscription brands, but it's a very large market as well. Almost none of our competitors are doing any kind of content at all for large part. It's very much enterprise sales and whatnot. And so I've kind of gone back and forth in terms of do we go down the route of kind of the lifestyle vlog type content where the audience is drawing an affinity to the personality versus, hey, here's more edutainment style content that's intended specifically for those business owners. And there's pros and cons to each. One is that if you're going to build a business that's intended to sell, you can't build it around your personal brand because you're going to be locked. And I've made that mistake in the past where my valuation dropped significantly because my audience base was a primary driver of traffic, and you cannot separate the two. So you're going to end up with like huge earnout clauses, and you're going to be stuck with the brand for a long time versus separating yourself and not being able to leverage the emotive, relational, community driven, audience growth into a brand means that you're going to have to work a lot harder and spend a lot more money to acquire new customers without the kind of emotive effect. So what would you prescribe of what you know of us where I'm willing to be the dancing monkey, so to speak? I've done that many times in the past, but how do I balance between not being myself or others, being super personality driven towards a particular brand, versus still seeing growth for the brand where it's kind of standalone? I know it's a loaded topic and very prescriptive to what's going on, but I'm curious your perspective on how I should be thinking about this in terms of blending lifestyle versus just business related content.
Yeah, this is a great question. And this is a lot of the times we worked with corporations and their channels just absolutely suck because they um everything is so corporatized and there's no steady familiar face that builds the community that people keep coming back for. And they have a logo as their profile picture. And it creates a disconnect with the audience. Does it still work? It can. If you've got really good high value content, it absolutely can work. But then I look at somebody like Elon Musk, where it's like nobody would even know what the Boring Company was if Elon Musk wasn't the founder or the CEO of it, right? If he didn't talk about it. And I look at the power of his personal brand or just like anybody, even Hermosi again, bringing him back up. It's like nobody would know what acquisition.com was if he didn't have his personal brand behind it. And one thing stood out to me, it's actually a quote, and I'll paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote, but it came from Hermosi. I think it was a Buffett quote, but Buffett said something like, "Rich people buy and sell things, wealthy people buy and hold things." And so, if you're planning on holding your company, then why not build a personal brand that can drive traffic wherever you want it to go? The other thought that I have too is that I don't necessarily want my YouTube channel or any social media, any successful social media asset for that matter, to not be able to go with me if I were to get acquired or sell. So I try to build my business using paid techniques that are replicatable, duplicatable, so that way that we're able to systemize. So that way we don't ever run into a situation where somebody's like, "Hey, your YouTube channel is the primary driver of leads and traffic to your content or to our site, and we're going to need to either take that with you, or you're not going to be able to create content, or whatever goes down that way, or where the value of your company drops significantly because 50% of the leads come from YouTube." I try not to put myself in that situation. I'd much rather have paid media be the primary source of traffic because it's systemized.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to, especially for the sake of time, dive into some of the tactical elements of things that you've extracted over the years, and especially what's really working now. As I mentioned prior to us hitting record internally, we were arguing about the title of a video and like what's the best title to use. And I think you can split test titles, and you can split test thumbnails, and all the it's like there's a million things that you could be considering on YouTube between like, do we use AI editors? Do we need a full-time editor? How do we think about content? How does this map to our overall goal? And we've kind of arrived at what I think is a pretty good hypothesis, but it really ultimately comes down to just quality of content. But there's some other levers that you can pull as far as you have to have an engaging thumbnail or else no one's going to click it in the suggested videos. On the right hand panel, the title has to kind of pull someone in with a bit of a hook. Your video has to kind of start with something hooky, or right? So I would say my primary question to you from a tactical perspective is what is the bare minimum or the standard by which we should be considering when we're not only creating but ultimately publishing content? What are some of like the big check marks that we need to ensure that we have in place when we're thinking about these, like what do you call it? What should a thumbnail do for us? What should the description entail? Like what is that minimum viable foundation that we should really be thinking about?
Yeah, so the 3 primary movers on YouTube are title, thumbnail, and retention. And, the way that I think about it is you should be building tension among all 3. So your thumbnail should get people to stop, and it should get them to ask a question. And then they should go to your title, and it should get them to stop, and it should get them to ask a question. And then your hook should
Yeah.
pique their interest and get them to ask a question, which leads to the next 15 seconds of your video, and so on and so forth. And so if you integrate what we call micro hooks into your content all throughout your videos, you will not only hold attention, but you'll convert at a higher amount too, because even your calls to actions will be curiosity evoking. They won't just be like, "Hey, check out the link to my website in the description." It'll be like, "Hey, I've been doing something in my videos for the last 6 months that has increased my retention by about 60% per video." I call it micro hooks. And I prepared a sheet down in the description below that has 50 of the things that I say in my content that drives more engagement and drives longer watch times. If you want that, it's totally free down in the description below. And take it or leave it. you know? So the idea is like you're maximizing these moments to build curiosity and then alleviate just a little bit of that by getting them to go where you want them to go.
Yeah, and I see this happening with a lot of the lifestyle people, but there are some business related channels that kind of do this as well. I love that concept of micro hooks where it's like you're always teasing what's going to happen at the end. I think of on the lifestyle side, like a Justin Flom, where for me watching it, it's the most infuriating content on the planet. And I used to know Justin way back in the day too. It's so infuriating that it's like he's sitting there like telling you what's going to come, and you can visual hooks seeing what's going to come. And then I realized by the end of the video, it's like I just watched his entire video and I didn't even realize it, even though I see what he's doing, I know what he's doing, and it's infuriating but he's doing it right. And I think that the business, from a business lens, we could do that too. How far from like a, obviously interviews and whatnot, this type of content can be super valuable for like a very ultra hyper targeted niche. But like more the bringing in a wider, like the 80%, the true Pareto, like an 80% open audience to a 20% ICP audience. Um, from that perspective, if you were to go top of mind, and again, putting you on the spot here, from our perspective, or for our related offer, where it's like, hey, we do churn reduction and failed payment recovery. It's like the least sexy thing in business, except for when people actually see the numbers on the other side. But for us to hook people's attention, what are some ideas, or what's like the first light bulb moment for you as far as content that actually could hook people in to maybe that broader audience to draw eyeballs to it? I'll give you kind of a prime here, although you probably already have a light bulb moment. We're thinking about doing reviews of like the world's worst social media reviews of SaaS companies, for example, and actually reading and giving feedback about some of the funniest reviews that people do when they crash out and like quit a subscription or something, and they go post about it online. We can review that live and then read it, which kind of has like a funny hook like structure. But I'm curious what you would prescribe if you were coming in to coach us on our content. What what kind of viral-ish, and I know most YouTube people hate that word viral, is it's kind of an obtuse word, but viral-ish types of content that we could lean into.
So in, 15, 20 seconds, walk me through your process. Like the process that you guys follow in your business to collect, or just like what is it that exactly that you do? Walk me through that process.
Yeah, so if someone's on Stripe, they're gonna be reliant on the built-in Stripe rebills or the dunning, so it's gonna send an email. So a payment fails, for example, and then Stripe's gonna send them off an email, and then it's gonna try to rebuild that card a bunch of times, which can only recover for one reason, which is insufficient funds. So what we do is we actually staff real humans to communicate with that end customer, and take over that rebuilding cadence, and we go not just to like day 5 or 6, we go to day 40, which gives us between a 20% to 300% improvement on failed payment recovery and overall churn metrics. So like the retention and LTV can skyrocket because we go longer. We have real human outreach with that. And so we just don't leave it up to robots who only scratch the surface as far as winning customers back to a subscription. And we take over that full process as a done for you service.
And do they make phone calls, or is it handled by email, or both, or?
Primarily email and SMS, which again, there are some pretty funny conversations with end customers that does lead to a recovery. But those could that I see where you're digging into. That could be an interesting angle. We don't as often do phone calls. People don't tend to pick up phone calls. In certain cases, we will, but it's primarily email and SMS.
Okay, so and I'm assuming you guys are doing this at volume. You've probably got a ton of different
A
conversations
lot,
that you can tap into.
yes.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so there's a guy who there's a couple examples of this that I've got. There's a guy who reads his humorous interactions on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
That could be something that's like work for short form, work for long form because it's storytelling, and you're
Mm,
going to naturally keep people hooked because they want to see if you can actually get them to a positive interaction or positive outcome or a negative outcome. That's the tension that you're building up. Is this going to resolve positive or negative? Number two, if you want to go really wild, you could you could put all of these conversations into, the Suno app and
yeah, and make a song out of it.
write songs with. Yeah, turn them
Yeah.
into songs.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's
And
so
those
good.
go super viral. Those can go super viral. So there's some, and then the, you become that guy who creates humorous songs, and now that sticks with people. We're one thing that that was actually came up from Anik Singhal at one of his events a number of years ago, is he was talking about how um he was in the bathroom at an airport, and some kids came in, and they're like, "Hey, you're that guy from TikTok." And and he's memorable because of the things that he says and the way that he looks. Like he's got a very distinguished, like he's got a look that's different from other people, and it's memorable. And so I think that that's kind of the key to it all, is like doing something that isn't just informative, that's one and done content that's like, hey, thanks Jordan for the information, I'm out. Maybe next time if you provide more value I might come back. But it's more of like along the lines of like, no, I have to see everything that he does because it's so cool. It's so interesting. And if you can create that type of strategy in your in with your content, then people not only will come back, but they'll share it with their friends, they'll talk about it. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, did you see this funny song this guy had trying to collect on a subscription like on a failed payment?" It's so cool. So unique.
Dude, I could just see the title of that and you put it up top. Chris Donnelly does this really well with like just reading, like whenever like an employer is really breaching norms with their employees and like someone requests a day off and like the employer doesn't want it. And so he'll like read the full conversation, WhatsApp chats and whatnot. But how funny would it be to have like real recovery conversations, but it's all in like either operatic or like death metal or like some really funny musical rendition of that. And like I've seen some guy do this with like he'll dress up in costume based on that person. And I think you mentioned the same thing with Facebook Marketplace. Those are the most absurd conversations ever, and that's so hooky, but it's related to what we're doing. So it's the question of whether or not we're willing to go down that route. And so it's always like, hey, does that tarnish the brand or does it help the brand? That's always kind of the overall question, but that's super helpful. From your side, what tools have really helped you guys to scale? You know, maybe it's physical tools as far as like maybe, you know, these days, you know, I had a video production company for a long time, and like the quality of the camera you had mattered big time because I had a BlackBerry and it was like, you know, this like tiny 2 megapixel video camera or whatever way back then. Now the quality of camera is not quite as critical. People are putting out GoPro and iPhone videos that are standing out and even winning like Academy Awards, right? So it's like that's not the barrier, but maybe either from a software or hardware perspective, what tools have you found to be most critical? Microphones. I know that DJI is putting out a bunch of microphones that have really helped people to produce high quality stuff. What are some must-haves for content creators?
Yeah, so i microphone is hands down the most important part of any video, and most people don't think that. They think, "Oh, the video is gonna be the most important part." It's like, no, because you can listen to a video. I mean, even now, like, I'm on YouTube, pl whatever it is, YouTube subscription premium, and I can turn off my screen and just listen to a video. But if the audio is bad, I have no idea what's happening in the video, unless it's like a fail vlog, then I'll watch those, or fail videos, then I'll watch those with the sound off all the time. But primarily in the business space, in the education space, in the family vlog space or vlogging space, lifestyle space, um, if you've got if you got good audio, it does the video doesn't matter as much. Now, as far as like software tools, there's a couple of tools that we use. We've actually developed a couple of these things. So, Yoinkit.ai, that's my tool, and it allows you to do competitive research. But not only that, like you can click a button and all of the metadata, all the transcripts, the thumbnails, everything will go to a dashboard, and then you can turn that into content. You can repurpose it, turn it into content or ideas. That's something that we use all the time. Oneof10.com, which isn't mine, but we use that for content ideation, thumbnail ideation, all the time. And then I build custom GPTs for every single one of our clients, depending on what work is going to be the most crucial for those clients. So I've got script generation, custom GPT specific to the client. I've got thumbnail and title ideation, custom GPTs depending on the client. We got full strategy, custom GPTs for our strategists internally to use when they're needing ideation for company-wide clientele. And yeah, AI has completely changed the game. I mean, we're not really leaning into a lot of AI for editing right now, because what we found is it doesn't really do a good job, and we end up having to go back through
It's
and
just
do
not
the
there yet.
trimming.
It really is not.
Uh, anyway, yeah, it's just not there. And it's so nuanced. I don't know. I think it's going to be a long time before AI really gets what makes a good video because you have to understand human nuance and it varies by culture. What we find funny in America, the Brits are like, "That's stupid," and vice versa. So it's too nuanced at this point.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And we've tried probably every AI video editor just to increase the speed on our own content. It tends to fail pretty miserably, except for shorts. There is some application for shorts, and even we're filming this in Riverside, and Riverside will create some magic clips that just speeds up a little bit of the editing process. Opus clip is another option for like subtitles and shorts creation. Sub Magic is another one. But ultimately, we're trying to like really just refine what's the workflow that's going to work for us to produce content consistently because we just very much were under the opinion that it's going to be actually, it was Austin Armstrong, our mutual friend, who came on, and his big thing is like it's just quantity over quality up front, and you're just pushing out as much as you physically can. Then you get feedback, then you refine, and then to continue to put. But you have to find out like what's actually going to hook and stick. Um, and so we've had a couple experiments that again, we'll post a video, it gets 2 views in 24 hours, then out of nowhere, it just skyrockets. So then every time that happens, I'm like, okay, I clearly don't understand these algorithms and what they're pushing for, but it's a lesson certainly from that perspective. Scott, we could talk about this for hours. I'm fully confident in that. But I want to make sure that we can promo some of the stuff that you guys are doing. Who specifically is best case to work with you? We're going to put plenty of show notes down below if you guys want more information to meet up with Scott. Clearly, just in 30 minutes, we've got a full masterclass on what are things that we can be doing, even on our side, but hopefully your side as well, to improve your content and start posting in a more scaled fashion and to get better results. How can people connect with you? Who's the best person to connect with you? And any next steps on your side?
Yeah, so, kind of our wide total addressable market, product is Yoinkit, and, that's just you spell it how it sounds, Yoinkit, Yoinkit.ai, and that's just a production tool for competitive research and just for ideation, um, f f and that's for, so anybody who's interested in doing anything on social media. Our, primary YouTube offer, they can go to Raffiti.com, Raffiti, and, we're looking to work with business owners who, are pretty established. They also have some, experience with creating video. It's always very difficult working with people who are noobs right out of the box and don't know how to start a YouTube channel. So we're generally looking for established business owners, and we've got consulting products, coaching, consulting, and then our top tier is done for you. We love creating content strategies and then executing for our clients. So those are our primary offers.
Well, guys, be sure to check out the description below for links to all those things. And if nothing else, I'm going to be checking out Yoinkit as well for our own competitive research. I think it's going to make a big impact for us. Big thanks to everyone for watching this episode. We got plenty more coming through, and you're probably going to see some examples of real life recovery stories and having Jordan sing a song to some of these videos based on this conversation. So if you see it, it's because of this conversation with Scott directly. So thank you, Scott, for being here. So thankful for the insights that you've shared. I'd love to have you back and to share more with our audience as we go. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir. It's been fun.
We'll see you guys next time on the very next episode of Retention Effect. Don't forget to give a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you're notified of every brand new episode. We'll see you guys next time. Right.